All right, welcome back to Crypto Rolly, the crypto watch that never stops. Thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing. Yesterday we were at 29 subscribers. I said, can we hit 30? And we hit 31. So thank you for the 2 new subscribers. Let's hit 32 or 33 with this video. All right. A lot of people are talking about the MACD. I had a comment in yesterday's video asking if I could go over the weekly MACD, so I will today. And if you have anything that you would like to see, please leave a comment and like. All right. But before we get to that, let's do the usual start. And remember, guys, this is not financial advice. Do your own research, trade at your own risk. So we're looking at the volume on Bitcoin, 800 million, picked up slightly from the past 2 days. We are going into the weekend. Well, tomorrow's Friday, and then we have Chinese New Year coming up. Arthur Hayes, the CEO of BitMEX, said, look for low volatility, low volume with Chinese New Year, probably because the Chinese will not be participating during their holidays. And we know that a lot of the volume does come from China. I've seen a lot of the big moves are happening while I'm asleep and the Chinese are awake and trading. Anyways, you can see we had a 3% drop on Bitcoin in the last 24 hours. I believe it's been more like 9% from the top. We'll take a look in a second. Bitcoin SV down 14%, Litecoin down 6%. So you do have some pullbacks happening here, but that was expected. If you'd been following the channel each day, I had been talking about a pullback to 8,200-ish, and we hit the mid 8,200s. We'll take a look closer in a second. So this was expected, and crypto fear and greed index at a 49, still sitting neutral. Bitcoin halving 109 days. All right. And brief little news article, Bitcoin Van Eck does not foresee an ETF being approved by the SEC in near future. So the narrative of 2018 was, all right, so, we dropped from 20K, we're in a bear market, but, we have all these ETFs that are being applied for. So if one of these ETFs gets approved, we could see, a big pump coming. Maybe this will be the next catalyst for the next bull market. And each ETF just got postponed and denied, postponed, denied. It's now 2020, and Van Eck, they probably had the most promising ETF of all. They basically are saying not in the near future. So, I think most people have kind of forgotten about this just because it was just an ongoing saga that, it just never really came to fruition. So people gave up, and maybe this eventually happens down the road later in the year or next year or two, and by the time that happens, maybe that will give us a nice catalyst. All right, so back to the charts, because the news isn't as important to me with Bitcoin. It's more technicals, less fundamentals. They can have some influence on the market, but I think more people use the news stories to explain what has already happened, okay? So anyways, taking a look at the weekly MACD, I've seen people have been talking about that. I don't generally look at the MACD, but, we had a request, and it is something significant that could possibly be happening here. Let's look in a little closer. The weekly MACD hasn't had its cross yet, so I wouldn't get overly bullish, or I would be a little patient if this is your key indicator. If you're looking for this cross, maybe it is constricting, and the cross does look imminent. Hasn't happened yet. So maybe you want to wait for a confirmation on that. People are excited about it because the last time we had that cross, we had the cross here. This was where we started our rally. And the rally, let's see, it went from bottom to top was 317%. So about 300% the last time we had this cross. So yeah, it's good reason to possibly get excited. The only thing that I'm going to have to show you guys is this. Well, let's see. This guy here looks similar to this guy here. And you had a cross and just a little bit of a blip here. So let's see what happened there. When was this? So you had your cross right in here. So had you just gone all in because you had a MACD cross on the weekly, well, you would have been punished severely. So yes, the last time it happened, it was a great signal, but the time before that was not the greatest signal. And then if you want to go back a little bit further, let's look at this example I saw 2014. We had a MACD cross as well. I might have to zoom in to get a better look at this. Where are we? Where are we? Okay, so yeah, we had a similar situation we're looking at now on the weekly. And we had a cross. We had a nice rise. It looked like we were about to beat this resistance here. Kind of similar to what's going on now. We got the cross and then dun dun dun. So yes, the last time we had the cross, you had a 300% rise. However, it's not a perfect indicator. None of these indicators are perfect. So definitely keep that on your radar. But, you know, I would just use that as one of many indicators. And in fact, if you go to the daily, on the daily, we're getting a cross down. You saw we actually have confirmed this cross down. And you see the red starting. So we'll have to see how this MACD cross down on the daily plays out before we actually get a cross on the weekly. Now, if we get a bounce here, which might happen, and we start continuing this way, I do believe we will see that cross on the weekly. All right, so moving on. Let's go to the 4-hour. I think I like going to the lower time frames and then zooming out just so that we can see what's happening in the very short term. In case you're looking for a trade or you're freaking out and what do I do? We could look at that first and then zoom out to look at the bigger picture. So we'll start doing that. I'm going to get rid of the MACD. We already went over that. And I'll add my usuals, the RSI and the stochastics. Okay. Stochastic. RSI. All right, so we got those loaded up. So what I can say about the 4-hour stochastic right off the bat and the RSI, the stochastic is getting low. So, and we kind of put in a little bit of a bounce here. Nothing too strong. You don't see a whole lot of volume. There wasn't a whole lot of volume actually on this drop. It's kind of been a slow little drop, which with Bitcoin, you know, when you get these slow falling drops, they kind of continue to go. What you want to see, you know, a better sign of a reversal is when you get an impulse. So usually, you know, a wick, you know, like a nice harsh drop and then a nice bounce back, lots of volume. But we haven't seen that yet, so it is possible that we continue a little further. We didn't quite hit 8,200 yet, so that could be what's possibly happening, getting a little bit of a bounce and then continue further. But the Stokes are low, so, you know, watch out for the 4-hour Stoke. If we can get a cross up, that might be a signal to get a little more upside action. But like I say, weekend, Chinese New Year, we could just see some sideways action for a few days, all right? The RSI has hit the bottom, though, right at the oversold area. You can see the last time we got this low, what happened, and the last time. So, but you see on this one, we got low. We tried to make an attempt up, and then we crashed again. And then you can see we had, let me remove the volume for just 1 second. You can see we had this wick here, and that was your signal. You can see a wick here as well, a wick here. We don't have much of a wick. So that's why I did open a tiny little long, 83.14, I think I got the entry, but I've already moved my stop to break even because if this drops further, I'd like to get a better entry anyway. Not too worried about it. But if we just keep going and going, you know, I have a good entry. So anyways, that's just personal strategy. So you can see we're low. So are we going to get a little bounce like this guy and then another attempt down into the oversold region? We'll have to see. So keep your eye on that with the Stochastic and the RSI. Let's look at our exponential moving averages and moving averages. So we did close beneath the 100 EMA here. It's coming in at 83.85, and we're looking to see if we can close back above it. This 4-hour candle will close in less than 2 hours at the daily close. So, you know, a lot's going to happen. We're going to see in 2 hours the 12-hour, the 4-hour, and the daily all close. So, you know, you want to see this possibly close above 83.85, the 100 EMA. We're currently at 8,400, so if we can close at this price, you'll get that. But you do have your 10 simple coming down. The yellow 21 has just crossed over the 50 EMA, so this could be some resistance here. And in fact, you know, if you just throw on, let's throw a quick little horizontal. I showed this on my Twitter too, so if you're not following me on Twitter, Crypto Rolly, I like to post lots of charts there too. So if you haven't, you know, maybe you saw the video, but I haven't posted a video in several hours, I'll probably post some charts. So you can see you had resistance and then support, 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 support. And once we broke it, you had a little more downside. So we could go retest that as resistance again. So a breakout retest. And you have your EMA MAs on the 4-hour coming down, might meet right there, get a rejection, and then go down a little further. Your 200 EMA is the light green at 8,083. So that could be a 4-hour EMA MA target down here in this region. Okay. Let's see. I can put my volume back on. Ichimoku. Ichimoku, we are currently in the cloud. We'll have to see what happens. The bottom of the cloud is all the way down at 8,020, kind of lining up with that 200 EMA on the 4-hour. So we might, you know, come down here and see if we can bounce off of the bottom of the cloud. We'll have to see. We did get that bearish Kumo cross. The blue conversion line has crossed beneath the pink baseline, so that would be a bearish cross, and your resistance now is 85.36 right here. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Let me throw in my Bollinger Bands. I see they're missing as well. Bollinger Bands, we're at the bottom of the lower band right now, and you are in the bearish zone, but we are closing back above. So, you know, when you close beneath it and beneath it again, that's, you know, when you're getting these harsh drops or pumps, you know, you can see that they kind of stay on the outside. So we are coming back in. That could be a good sign. Your resistance from the middle BB is at 8,800. So a lot of room to go if you're using the Bollinger Bands. Moving on, 12-hour. So yeah, we came down exactly to the bottom of the Bollinger Bands on the 12-hour. So not a surprise if you're using this indicator that we're getting a bounce here. This actually looks pretty good, this 12-hour wick. So we'll see if we can close above the lower band at 84.11. Current price is 84.12. All right. So I believe I shared this in previous videos, but we did close beneath the middle BB. And when we got that close beneath the middle BB, we retested it and had a drop. So once we had closed beneath this, that was also another sign that we could have more downward action. Our Ichimoku clouds, once we lost this blue conversion line, again, it was a nice signal that we could get more downside action. Your resistance coming in at 8,020 lines up with something I just showed you on the 4-hour. You can see how these all line up. Nice, nice, nice. The EMA MA. So we still have some room to go on the 12-hour. Your 377, this dark green, is coming in at 8,200, which you'll also see line up with, I believe, the 200 EMA on the daily. We'll show you that in a second. And the 50 EMA is coming in at 8,200, 8,204 to be exact. So we are getting a little bit of a bounce here, but I'm still looking for more like 8,200 to 8,050, maybe 8,050 to 8,200, somewhere around there where we get a real bounce, with some actual volume. But you never know. This is, looking okay for right now. Nothing to be worried about. Our Stokes. 12-hour Stokes are also coming down. They're getting low. So, you'll see probably a cross on the 4-hour first. And we'll have to see what happens after the 4-hour cross. But if we can get a 12-hour cross on the Stoke going back up, that will be a nice signal. I like the 12-hour Stokes a lot with our crosses. You can see here you had that drop. Once we it was right in this area. I was calling for a pullback, but on the weekend the whales wanted to fake everyone out and go above the daily 200 simple, and then we finally got a pullback. So the 12-hour Stoke actually did call it pretty well in hindsight. You can see this one also called this drop here, so on and so forth, okay? RSI is pretty neutral at the moment. You can see you have higher lows, low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So, this is a nice trend on the RSI for the 12 hours. So maybe we do get a bounce here. We'll have to see. What else do we have? The daily. Let's go to the daily. On the daily, the Stokes are still coming down. But if you get a 4-hour cross up, a 12-hour cross up, this could just, round and go back up also, okay? And you also have the same higher low RSI trajectory. Low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So looking decent. Could get a bounce and then go much higher into the overbought zone of the RSI. You can see when we're actually bullish, we can go pretty high, as you can see back here, here, okay? So, yeah, I'm looking for a bounce. This sell-off wasn't too nasty. It could be something that looks like this, though, so, be prepared for anything. But it wasn't anything just like, oh my God, what is happening to Bitcoin? But looking at the daily, you can see we're still on a lower high trajectory. High, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. We will want to, if we do get a bounce, we're going to want to see us consolidate above this level and move on. Until then, it's still a lower high. And as you all know, in 2018, that's what we saw. High, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. It was just, lower high, lower high, lower high. This guy almost got there and then broke out, and we knew the rally was coming. Okay, so on the macro, that's what you're going to be looking for. Let's look at the Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands, we did hit the middle BB. This is going to be the 20 simple coming in. So that was, an area of interest for a bounce. And actually, I talked about this on Twitter too. Once we lost the 10 simple, I was expecting us to come down to the 21 EMA. And so far, we're getting a nice little bounce. We're up to 84.19 right now. So we did bounce off the yellow 21 EMA. So maybe this is where we get our full bounce from. Otherwise, after, I showed you the 4-hour looking a little closer at the lower time frames. If we do continue further, I want to see the 200 EMA hold, all right? I want to see this 200 EMA at 8,200 hold. If we can, and you know what, we could drop past it, but if we drop past it, I imagine there will be a lot of buyers in this area, and at that point we'll get a wick. And then we're going to see if we do get a wick, we're going to make sure that we stay above the 200 EMA. If we close a daily candle beneath the 200 EMA, it's going to look like a sucker's rally, another lower high, and then revisit back to the lower 7Ks. That's just my opinion, not financial advice. You can see here there was a lot of resistance and we managed to break it, so we're retesting it as support. If you can get a breakout retest, resistance flip support, that will be classic, and that will be good to see for the bulls. All right, so that's what I'm looking at, and if we can get a nice healthy bounce, we're going to want to try and get back above the 200 simple. If we can't get back above the 200 simple, I can't really be too confident in calling any long-term macro bull markets. But once we, get back above here, consolidate above this pink 200 simple, get above this guy, the things will start adding up a little nicer, at least on the daily chart. Okay. Ichimoku clouds, we can look at that real quick. Ichimoku cloud. All right. So we got above the cloud. That was nice. We were maintaining, but once we, started closing candles beneath the top of the cloud, we got our drop. But you have we have a bullish cross right here on the Ichimoku, nice Kumo cross, bullish, and the conversion line is coming up to meet the candle here. Is coming in at 82.22. So a little more room in that 8200 region if we do get a rejection in the today or tomorrow or this weekend. All right. So we'll have to see how that plays out. We looked at that. Yep. All right. So going on to the weekly. The weekly, I talked about this in yesterday's video. We could possibly have a bearish Kumo cross. Currently, the conversion line's at 84.83 and the base is at 85.01. So that could be a bearish cross if we finish this weekly candle in this region. But these things can twist around like cross and cross again. So it's not everything, but something to keep your radar. We are falling out of the cloud. I think it would be a lot nicer to see us finish this as a green weekly candle. And I think that you won't have that cross, stay in the cloud and work our way back up. But you have to be prepared for everything. Bollinger Bands. We did come down to test the middle BB. It's at 82.77 and the low on this candle is 82.80. So we broke out of it and we tested it. We're going to want to see us maintain above. If we can maintain above the middle BB, stay in this bullish zone, that will be very nice to see. You can see once we finally broke above the middle BB back here, it was on and popping. And then once you lost it, well, it's been just down since. So this is good to see that we're above, and we did test it as support, and it has held temporarily at least. Our EMA MA is going to be similar. We broke above the yellow 21 EMA. You want to hold that for a macro bullish trend, and we are testing it now. It's coming in. It has risen a little bit, so you do have the 21 EMA rising. Last week it was at 82.16. Now it's at 82.35, so that's nice to see it rising, and we did come close enough, 82.35, 82.80. So like I say, we're going to want to see us stay above this by end of week, still a few more days. So keep that on your radar. If we do get a drop down to 8,200 or 8,080, I want to see a bounce from that, and then by end of week still close above 82.35. If we close beneath it, could be a bad sign. You saw what happened when we closed back beneath here. We had a pretty massive dump. Our Stokes are still coasting up, so that's nice to see. All right, so I think I pretty much showed everything. We're going to wrap it up with the Heiken Ashies. That's been the... Oh, you know what? Before I do the Heiken Ashi, let's look at real quick. We'll just look maybe at the daily for this. We're going to do a Fibonacci retracement just to see. Since we have had a pullback, I think it is appropriate to take a look at that. We'll get rid of this horizontal there. Fibonacci. All right, so if you're doing from this swing low to this swing high, you have your 0.382 coming at 82.80. And we had our low at 82.80. So we bounced perfectly off the 0.382. All right, so we could retest 8,600. This is now turned resistance. It was, you could see support, and we dropped through, so we could retest it as resistance. If we go any further past 82.80, your 0.5 is going to be at 8,010. That's pretty much as low as I'd like to see this go. The 0.618 is technically the golden retracement, and you would still be, you know, if we came down here, you would still have a bit of a resistance right here, resistance flipped support. So you could come down here. I'm going to get a little more nervous though if we come down here. I don't know so much about that, but that would be the last support zone for the bulls, I believe, would be your 0.618 retracement. Around 77.40 would be the top of this candle and this candle, so possibly a resistance turn support there. All right, anything past that is going to kind of look pretty bearish, if it's not already bearish coming past 8,000. Okay, so we looked at that, and let's go to the 4 hour and we'll look at our Heikin Ashis. Oh, you can see perfect bounce off of the 382. But that could have just been the bots. You know, the bots wanted to buy that area up. And then we get rejected back underneath this resistance turn support. Okay, and then turn resistance possibly, and then make our way back down in this region. You could get a bit of a range in here or a range in here. Just keep that on your radar. Heikin Ashi. On the 4 hour, starting to look like a reversal on the 4 hour. You got your wicks on both sides looking tight. So we'll see how this 4 hour closes. Now about an hour and a half. 12 hour. 12 hour is pretty red, pretty bloody. So we'll have to see what happens. On the daily, also red. So, you know, the Heikin Ashi is a good trend type candle to watch. So based on this, you know, if you're still bearish and your narrative is the lower highs, then you could probably have an argument with the Heikin Ashi candles. So until this actually turns green, if you're trading on the daily Heikin Ashi, the trend is still bearish until one of these turns green. That's on a daily time frame. But the higher the time frame, the better, the less stress. Okay. You also have two bearish Heikin Ashis printing on the 2-day. On the 3-day, you have a red one here. Nothing too serious. It kind of looks like this guy here. So is this the beginning of that? Or, you know, is it one of these guys here? It's like a temporary reversal. We'll have to see. On the weekly is still bullish. So if you're using the weekly Heikin Ashi, which can be good too, because you see, look, red, 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 green, 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 red, red, red. So if you're using that, you know, you're still bullish. Okay, still bullish on the weekly Heikin Ashi. And not too big of an but the previous videos I've been showing the monthly Heikin Ashi. It was showing wicks on both sides, potential reversal, but it was green and now it's red. But it could be looking like this monthly Heikin Ashi here, and then after that, boom. So maybe in February we start our green ascent. Okay, so again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you everyone who liked the past video and commented, and anyone who subscribed. Let's keep those subscriptions up. The more subscribers I have, the more likely I'll do actual live streams, and we can have fun with that down the road. All right, thanks again. This is Crypto Rolly. Safe trading out there. We'll see you next time. Boom, boom, boom.